Hello, I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my busy little shop. On today's episode of What's on My Workbench, I've got a topic I wanted to go into, and I'm not in the shop mainly because this topic, it has everything to do with leathercraft, but nothing to do with the actual art of making anything. And my point of that is, it's really about running a small business. And I get a lot of people that have interest in selling items. Some people don't know where to start. And that doesn't really surprise me because a lot of the people that have got to that point where they've decided I'm going to go to an art show and I'm going to set up my booth and I'm going to see what I can sell. A lot of them got to there not with ever having the intention of running a business, but maybe they made birdhouses and gave it to friends and family, and people occasionally would recommend a friend and you would sell one, and maybe you didn't really even know how to price it or what I should sell it for. And other people, maybe they knitted scarves for all of their grandchildren, and then other people wanted one and they're doing, from there. And so they've kind of backed into potentially running a business. So I thought I would take a little bit of time and dig into some of these topics. I get people from time to time that ask me about running my business and about, how do I price it? Where do I sell it? What do I stock for inventory, and all those different things. And they're all valid questions. But this is what we're going to dig into. So grab a cup of coffee, grab a piece of paper and a pencil, make some notes. At some point in here, if you'd throw in some comments, on mark, off mark, maybe some areas I didn't think to cover. If I get a lot of questions in there, well, one, if you have questions, I'll answer the questions in the comment section, but it might be that I need to run a part 2, or maybe we do a live stream and we can really dig into some of these different areas and topics. All right, so let's get into this topic. First, let me just say this and acknowledge this. And a lot of people know it. Running a business is really a challenge. It can be difficult. It can be challenging. A lot of people that have the maker mentality of bird boxes or some of that stuff, a lot of people don't have an experience of running a business. They've worked for somebody else, they've done whatever, but they don't understand running business. And so let me back up. My experience is, since I left the farm when I was 18 and started working for different companies, I've always been the face of that company, to the public. In other words, I worked for a lawn care company, and I was out on the lawns and I was talking to customers, and you learn how to talk to people and you learn what works and what doesn't work and how to understand what they're saying. The same thing when I went to work for Sherwin-Williams, that I was, running a business. I would run a store, or I'm talking to customers, and understand that if you put their needs first, then yours will follow, right behind that. But, a lot of times when I would see people, let's say in the paint world, that they were, they started off, on a job site helping to paint, and they became good at it. Maybe they became a supervisor on the jobs for that painting company, and then they decide, I'm gonna go out on my own, I'm gonna do my own. And they think they've got the understanding of how to run the business, and maybe they've been exposed to some of that. But for the most part, I think most people at that point don't. And that was always concerning to me, is if they didn't have a good business knowledge. It'd be good if they had a partner that was, good at running the office, because if everybody's focused out there, then they're not running the business. So when you started this hobby business, whether you're making leather items, you're knitting, you're making firewood, you're marketing, whatever it is, I don't know what the widget is that you're making, that you're trying to sell, the thing that you've been encouraged to sell, but now you have to try to take from one to the other. And I get people ask, how do you price the items? Do you price the items, the cost of materials plus the amount that time it takes to make it? Do you have to have overhead in there? All these different things kind of weigh into that. And then the other side of it is, if I made this belt, let's just focus on a belt first. If I made a belt, and by the time I got through with all my expenses, I'm at $500, it really probably isn't going to matter, because I don't know that you're going to find very many people that are willing to spend $500. But the thing to do is to look at who are you competing against. I'm competing against that belt from, I'll say Kohl's, that's $45, that lasts 18 months, and then breaks and fails. So can I convince somebody, and it's true, that my belt will last more than 2, more than 4 times as long as that, and I can be maybe twice as expensive. So would you be willing to pay, double the cost of that belt from Kohl's for one that I say will work for that length of time? So let's get back to that in just a second. But the same thing is with firewood. I see people, there's YouTube channels I follow, and they're making firewood, and there's people there that have different mindsets. That it could also be that they have different customer bases than one another. So what works in one state or with one group of customers may not work in the other one. And I see people are like, you should be doing it this way, and they're like, I'm doing it this way, you should try it that way. Well, it could be they're 2 different worlds. And so when it came to the Leathercraft, let me focus on that just for a little bit. I'm going to talk about the business side of it, though, is what is the belt worth? What can I sell the belt for? And so on and so forth. Just last week, I had the opportunity to sit in on with a group of makers out there, people that are, if you're making something, you're trying to sell it, you're running a business. Whether you think you are or not, you're running a business. And so, you have to think about how you're going to market that item. And you have to think about what's going to work. And you have to focus on how to make yourself different than somebody else. That's my problem with platforms like Etsy and such. If you're on Etsy and you're making scarves, well, you can probably type in, search for scarf and find 20 people. How is someone going to purchase that scarf there? So Etsy would probably be one of my least likely places to sell, because I'm going to have to be nose to nose on price. I'm not able to sell and tell the story about why I think my item is worth more. So in that group that we had, there were people there that were just fabulous artists. I saw the things that they make, just beautiful. I don't want to call any of them out because they might listen to this, so I don't want them to think I'm picking on them. But the item they make is just absolutely beautiful, and they're just a great artist. And then you just wonder, do they know how to run a business? And in this alliance of people, we started talking some of those things. And if there's anybody out there that has questions for me, please ask, because that's my thing, is I want to try to give back and to help people in that area. So we've said it, running a business is hard, managing what you're going to make. And there was a booth at this last week's event. It was at a family-run winery, and they had music. They always have music, and people come out and have a glass of wine, listen to the music. Well, we had booths set up so that people could walk through. And I was, when I set my booth up, I always say, put your best foot forward. So you want to lead on that front table with the thing that you think that is going to attract people's attention the most, and things that you want to talk about. And I don't want to pick on anybody, but if you're going to set up your table and then sit in a chair and read a book while people walk through, you're probably not going to have as much success. You may sell some stuff, but I think you'd be more successful if you are face to face with your customer. So when I set that booth up, I make it so that they can enter in and look at some of the things I've got. But more importantly, for me to be out front so I can talk to the people as they come through. And I'll pick up, let's use a belt for example. I'll pick up a belt and I will hand the belt over, and I'm like, here, take a look at this. I had someone not long ago, how do you keep people from handling your belts? I want them to. If they're eating cotton candy, I'm probably not going to hand them one of my belts. But I think you understand where that's coming from. So I'm going to hand them the belt. And as soon as they touch the belt, the majority of the people, they automatically, you can see, they can feel the difference. They can feel the weight of the leather. They can feel whether it's supple or not. Then you start talking about how I make the belt, why I construct it the way I do, and why I think this belt will last longer. And I'll show them. I have a belt over there that belonged to someone else that had broke at the hole, and I'm showing what's inside of a large percent of the belts that are out there. And I explain why you would make a belt that way. I also have a prop there of a belt that I made using byproduct of me making belts, and I show how I can make a belt that looks nice, but it won't last like a quality made belt would be. So if I'm sitting behind the table, I'm not going to get a chance to do that. I give them my story. I tell them about how I got started in making the belts. And you can judge whether the person's interested in hearing the story or not. I'm sure I've probably overstepped a couple of times, probably not as much as you think. A lot of people are really interested in how you make that scarf, how long it takes you to make that scarf or that birdhouse, or why you make the firewood the way you do. Why is it I don't see bark in these bundles? Because you sell barkless bundles, and the reason why, maybe your 10% of a bundle is the bark, and it doesn't burn as nicely as the wood. So that may be one of your selling features, or maybe not. So get out front and talk to the person about, what the reason why. I call it putting your best foot forward. And then after the person listens to what you've got to say, then thank them for their time. I really appreciate you listening to me tell my story today. Here's my card. Keep me in mind. You've got that brother-in-law or your dad. It's always hard to buy for. Most of these guys are going to wear a belt, or these ladies are going to wear a belt. So I'll do that. And I have people asking me about advertising. How do I advertise? Well, the best advertisement is word of mouth, and we always hear that. But how do you get to that point that you're getting word of mouth? A lot of times people, when they come in and they hear your story and they buy the belt from you or whatever it is you're selling, they have bought into your story. They want to support you. They may realize that they're spending 20% more for that item than they would somewhere else, but they want to see you successful. And a lot of times they want to know how to help you. And they're already trying to think of somebody else they can buy a belt for, to help. But if you like, here's my card. If you would just give this, here's 2, would you give 1 to a friend and have them, reach out to me if they're interested in a belt or whatever it is that you're selling. So most people are that way. The other thing that I do is that when I get ready for my next show is I'll do a posting on Facebook of where my show's at, some of the items that are there to remind people there. And then people that have bought from me a belt, I will send a short text. And I don't mean to be mean by it, but a lot of people, if you tell them on Wednesday, they've forgot by Saturday. Myself, I forgot by Wednesday evening. So a reminder text, like, hey, I'm set up from 10 to 4 today, and here's where I'm at. I hope to see you. Stop by and say hi, if nothing else. I like it when someone comes through just to see what I've got. They don't need to buy anything, and talk to you a little bit, and then sometimes maybe they buy it, and sometimes they don't, and I get to ask about how their belt's working and such. So that's how I advertise, and I'll use those 2 different things. I had someone ask me, do you have a website? And I don't know that having a website for me would work. A website or Etsy, I just, I go back to how I sell. I sell by people handling it and looking at it and appreciating it. And if you're on Etsy, you're there with everybody else. And if they take, if it costs you 20% by the time you go through all the different steps that you have to do to sell that, there's not many companies out there that their profit margin's 20%. If you have to pay 20%, then you give that up. The other thing that I see are people, then they struggle with this, and I do as well at times. You have a friend says, I want to buy a belt. And automatically you're thinking, do I charge them the full price? Do I discount that? That's something that you have to rectify with yourself. But I told there's a lady that runs a business here locally that took over running after the gentleman that she worked for retired. And she's like, yeah, I discount 20%. And I'm like, the thing with that is, if you could make 20% on your sales for the year, you'd have a successful year. You just gave what you hope to make a discount on that. And now you've tied up your time and you can't be working on stuff that would make you money. And if these people are wanting to use you and recognizing that maybe you're not the least expensive, and then you give them a price that's too low, then I'm not sure who you're helping there. You're definitely not helping yourself grow. And if you have employees, you're not helping your employees either. And you want to be successful, and that's my goal, is to help everybody to be successful. So I don't want to sound negative there, but I'm not sure that I could sell from a website. I guess one place I could sell with a website would be that the people that came through my booth, and then maybe they've had time to process and they really want to kind of dig in and see prices, I could probably I could probably sell some that way through the website. I'm not trying to talk myself into doing it, partially because this is a hobby business for me. And I've already said if I can get a handful of belts a week, that I can make, then that's enough. I don't want to turn it into a 40-hour a week job. So, and then other things to make yourself stand out. Like I've got this here I wanted to show you. It's a cloth bag. It's got my logo on it. That is just a rubber stamp that my wife ordered for me. And you can order one as well so that you're able to maybe do something a little different. The first time I went to and set up a booth, the lady that was allowing us all to come there, she's a potter and she makes beautiful pottery. And I noticed that when people left, they left with a little paper sack with a little like rope handle on it. And I was like, and she said, what do you, and I'm like, well, most people just carry it out. I guess that doesn't seem, real professional. Or I have got some, grocery bags from the local grocery store. And she's like, you ought to think about, if nothing else, just go get some lunch bags, paper lunch bags to put that item in. It has a totally different feel about the process. So I went and I looked and I found these cloth bags. It's a parts bag. You can look up cloth parts bag. This is a 6x8, I think. It's got a little drawstring handle. But now that I have that rubber stamp, if I need bigger bags or if I want lunch bags, I can now use that rubber stamp and I can stamp multiple things. As a matter of fact, when I ship items through the mail, a lot of times, if I think about it, I don't always think about it, but I'll take rubber stamp and I'll put my name on the outside of it there as well. So when it arrives, it adds a little bit to the excitement of getting that. So it's little things like this that make you stand out from someone else there. But don't sit in the back of the booth. Get out front. Even if you don't want to be on the front side of the table, it's going to be 6 hours long. You need to stand there for 6 hours and greet and talk to the people and ask them if there's something they're looking for, because you may have it and they just don't see it. And hand things over. And if it's something that gets dirty, maybe you make one, that you always hand over and you wash it so they can just kind of see what it's like. So in my booth, like I said, I put my best foot forward. I try to be there. And I'm trying to convey that I think to be successful, you have to tell your story and get buy-in from people. And I know there was lots of times when I was in the paint industry that I was not the cheapest person there, but people would buy from me and people would actually feel bad when they bought from somebody else. They would hide the fact they bought from somebody else because they were loyal to me. And you'll get people that are the same way with whatever it is. If it's firewood that you're delivering, they'll apologize if they buy from somebody else. If it's a scarf, then they want to buy from you if they can and support you and your story. I think that's about it. I've got more stuff here that I could go on and on, but let me keep this short. In your comment section, if you would put a note in there, if you would share this with anybody else that's in the arts and crafts world or running a business, and get them to maybe think a little bit differently about it, then if they can pick up just one thing out of this, then I think that, you never know what's going to help that person. When you look at 3 out of 5 or 7 out of 10 businesses fail in the first couple of years, a lot of times I think it's because whatever they're making and selling, they know how to make that item, but they don't know how to market themselves. And they may not really realize the simple things that they could do and make a difference. So I appreciate you being here today with me in the shop. Please like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, I hope you have a great day.